Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel where we go after higher fluency even without going abroad. And if you subscribe to my channel for a while, you might note that I interviewed one of my military friends in English who spent in total 4 years overseas, 2 years in Malaysia and another 2 years in Canada. Honestly speaking, I doubt he feels the same way with me, but I found his speaking fluency is on the almost same level with me, like more similar to any other cases that I've ever come across so far. So here are 5 lessons, 5 takeaways that I derived from the interview with him. Let's get straight into it. Number 1, writing helps you to improve your speaking skills more than you think it does. You want to take note of it, especially if you have presentation or interview in English ahead. About a week before I interview him, I set up a list of questions that I would ask him and asked him to fill them out in English. That was to get him prepared a bit advanced because I know well from my personal experience, talking in front of a camera is not really easy, even in Korea, especially if that is your first time. B, if you haven't spoken English in a while, to speak English, to speak the language would be very hard no matter how good your English was in the past. On the appointed day, I asked him not only questions that I put on the questionnaire in advance, but also random questions that he had to improvise on. And unsurprisingly, what I found was he answered prepared questions much more fluently and naturally than random questions that he didn't have time to prepare for, which means you absolutely have to write concisely, as much in detail as possible if you want to excel on presentation or interview in English that you're prepared for at the moment. The fact that is crystal clear, at least for me, is you cannot speak something in English if you cannot write it down. Number 2, learning English at the early age might be effective, at least for listening skills. And judging from my military friend, the experience that he had, that he told me, listening skills seem to be achieved quite naturally if you're exposed to English at the early age, in his case, under 10. He said that he would send these future children to either Canada or the States at the age of around 10 and then make them stay there for 2 years and then get them come back to Korea. And what made him think this way? When he was in elementary school, he had a chance to live in the States for just a year, which I speculated was not long enough to have any impact on his English skills in the future. But surprisingly, against my expectation, frankly speaking, he argued that it is that 1 year that he spent in the States when he was very young that enables him to understand most of English contents like movies, dramas, even until now. Furthermore, he didn't study English at the time. Deliberately study or intentionally study English at the time because he was a little kid who was just happy. But it seems like simply being exposed to English at an early age, like even for a short period of time, just a year, looks like it contributes a lot to listening skills. We might feel kind of unfair at this point, given that as adults, our English looks like growing very, very slowly, even though we put deliberate and intentional a lot of efforts into learning English. However, don't get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't mean that you can't improve your speaking skills. And at this point, I just want to remind you the point of my YouTube channel. Number 3, 3 months might be long enough to see tangible progress in speaking skills. I once wrote that instead of studying English consistently for a long period of time, possibly, definitely set 3 months as a deadline and try your best to achieve your as higher fluency as possible within those 3 months. I'll link it in the description so that you can check it out. I didn't say 3 months randomly there. It's actually based on my personal experience. I saw tangible huge progress and improvements in speaking skills and reached the point where I didn't have problem on communicating in English within those 3 months. And it turns out it's not only me. I made a very specific question that asked him, how did it take you to speak English fluently back then? And surprisingly, his answer was 3 months. But you should note that he emphasized that he worked very hard, very hard, because he had to survive there anyway. It goes same for me. During those 3 months, I used English way more than Korean, even though where I lived at time was still Korea. And there is another case that confirms this 3-month theory. Once I took a lecture from another 국내파 손성은님, who is very famous on this YouTube channel. In her lecture, she clarified that it did take her around 6 months to speak fluently. Yes, in her case, it took another 3 months, extra 3 months, but learning rate is really depends on individuals, but it's still a lot shorter than we thought it did. Number 4, studying abroad never guarantees upgrade of your English. I had a vague feeling that it might be true, and it turned out it is really true. It seems that we sometimes simply assume that if we stay in foreign countries for a long time, then our English is getting improved just automatically. But he completely denied it. Let me quote his remark, "It doesn't matter where you study. You have to work hard anyway, no matter where you study." He even argued that in order to improve his speaking skills, he would go to 동호회 in Korea rather than going abroad. Why did he point it out? He said that because all the people in a 동호회 share a common goal, which is speaking English fluently, learning English. Therefore, they are always friendly each other. They are always kind each other. They feel okay. You feel okay even when you make a lot of mistakes, even when you speak poor English. But that wouldn't be a case when you stay abroad. Let's say in school in foreign country, in this case in Malaysia, international school, even if you're super outgoing, even if you're super cool, super energetic, it would be very hard to mingle together with friends there. Let's think in this way. Think about it. If there was a Brazilian in your middle school, let's say, just imagine who could barely speak Korean, then what situation would you find he was in? Never easy to settle in at first, because even Koreans who can speak perfect Korean sometimes find it very hard to adapt to school life. Another YouTuber that I know, the English coach, also well demonstrated how studying abroad might not work the way you think it does. I'm going to have that link in the description box so that you can check it out later. Number 5, last but not least, there is no end to improving on foreign language. I do think that I improved my English a lot, especially comparing to the past, to the point that where I feel confident and happy when I speak in English. It doesn't mean that I feel 100% secure, 100% confident in English. As a matter of fact, I still feel that there is a huge room for improvement for my poor English. When I write in English, I still sometimes come across sentences that I can't fully express in English. Therefore, I need to refer to the dictionaries. When I speak, I still have a lot of pauses and hesitations, especially on the unfamiliar topics, and of course, I also make grammar mistakes while speaking English. Well, luckily for me, it turns out it's not only me, he is on the same page with me. He said, I prefer to live in Korea to Canada or the States because being able to communicate in English is not the same with speaking like native speakers. And he added, speaking for a short period of time for just several days is not a big deal, but speaking English 24/7 for the rest of your life is a whole another story, even though I can speak English now. What it implies in his remark is that no matter how much, no matter how long you work on studying English, you will still find something you don't know English. You will still feel insecure and not confident, and you will still feel like you study more. And with regard to it, the way I think about it is that we just try to narrow the gap between where we are now and where we want to be in the future. In this sense, I believe there's no other choice but to just admit the fact, or I would say reality, that learning English, unless it's your mother tongue, English, is a life-lasting journey, life-lasting task that we have to keep working on and just get used to this uncomfortable feeling. It's all I have for today's video. If you have any questions or especially disagreements or rebuttals, please leave them in the comment box below, because I really love to see how you think, what you think about like what I said in this video. Like everything that I told in this video cannot be true perfectly. I admit that. Okay, stay healthy and happy all the time. Take care until the next video. Bye bye.